Let's go to the Zoom machine and say hello to our first guest of the day, the one and only Jimmy Smith. There he is, from that
how you doing?
Familiar locale that I see you sitting in front of all the time with your many different shows. How are you, sir?
Doing well, my man. Doing well. Thanks for having me, man. Appreciate it. You could have taken credit, by the way, for me and then Bobby Lashley and pretend it's just like a stroke of genius.
Yeah, no.
I would do that 100% on my show.
Well, fair enough. It was weird how it all played out, but I'm happy it played out this way. And also the host of Unlocking the Cage on SiriusXM, which you'll be doing at 2 p.m. So in an hour or so, you're kind enough to join us before you go on the air yourself. Thank you very much for that. So, Jimmy, wow. We were talking a lot during the pandemic because we were doing some of those like international sports center hits. That was a lot of fun with the great, big guns Phil Murphy. And then all of a sudden I wake up one day and it's Jimmy Smith, the freaking voice of Monday Night Raw, replacing Adnan Virk. It was a short run for Adnan. What a spot that is. Legendary spot. How did this happen, Jimmy?
I am as shocked as you are, I gotta say. Basically, the way it happened, the order of operations was an executive that I worked with at Bellator went to WWE a few years back. He's been there for a while. And I suddenly got a message out of the blue from Michael Cole saying, hey, so-and-so gave me your information. We're looking for some broadcasters with our new Peacock deal. How would you like to audition for the WWE? And I went, okay. I said, yeah, it's been a while since I've watched your product, but sure. And he went, okay, come up, do an audition. And I went up there, called some from because I live in South Florida. I drove up to, they were in Tampa at the time with the Thunderdome and everything. And I drove up there, did the audition with Corey Graves. Apparently it went well. And they went, okay, great. We'd love to get you on the broadcast. You're going to do a little pre-tape thing for NXT and you're going to do some work for us. And then I'm not kidding. A week later, something like that, they said, hey, how would you feel about taking over Monday Night Raw? Jeez. And I went, sure. Yeah, I lied and went, sure. Yeah, no problem. Yeah, no, you always do in this business. Yeah, no problem. Of course, I got that. And I'm not kidding. A week later, I was in Raw for the first Friday. I'm not, as you said, I'm a color analyst. I've done play-by-play twice for local shows here in Florida. That was it. I don't have much play-by-play experience. Hadn't watched WWE in years and years and years, and was just kind of like getting back into the product and all this stuff. And then, boom, I'm the voice of Raw. That's exactly what happened.
That is, I mean, it came out of nowhere. You weren't rumored. No one expected it. Were you freaking out internally? You say yes confidently, but internally, were you freaking out?
Yes, totally. Freaking out, man. Like, it's just, and the first show, I mean, we're on in 30 seconds or whatever. All right, we're on in 30 seconds. And I had like a mini stroke. It was just, and I haven't in years. I mean, I've been in MMA I've been in MMA 20 years. I've been in broadcasting MMA at this point since 2008. So, whatever it is, 13, 14 years. I'm kind of past that point. And then suddenly it was boom. Oh my God, what am I doing here? And I did it and people liked it. And I've been there since, and it's getting better and better and better. But yeah, that first, my God, couple months was insanity, Ariel. It was insanity. Yeah.
Because you have been so entrenched in the world of MMA, not only as a broadcaster, but as I said, as a former fighter. There was Fight Quest that you did, which was a hit show as well. And then you move over to M1, Bellator, then UFC. Was there any part of you that felt, because when I have even a Bobby Lashley, who's fought 17 times, who's a collegiate wrestling, stud as well. Anytime I have a WWE guy on the show, oh, it's fake, it's you get all the bellyache. Was there any part of you that had some trepidation because you were a part of the real fight sport to go over to that world as well?
Not really. Number one, I don't listen to people.
Good.
That's a big part of it. I just don't care.
Good.
The other part of it is, and I was talking to my old broadcast partner, Sean Grandy, who's a big WWE fan, great play-by-play guy. He's amazing. So I called him early on. I was, hey man, do you have anything? And he gave me some great advice. But another thing, we were talking about that, straddling the line of combat sports and sports entertainment. He goes, that line doesn't exist like it did when we were kids. When, it was, you were in one or the other and the two sides didn't meet, obviously that just isn't the case as much anymore where you're in one, you can't do the other. We see people, as you say, Bobby Lashley, Brock Lesnar, whatever, going back and forth. Japan, in the early days, pro wrestling and MMA were almost intertwined. It was hard to separate what was one and what was the other. So I didn't feel that way at all about it, oh my God, I'm going to lose all my credibility or something dumb like that. I didn't feel that way at all. at all.
I thought it was actually a brilliant move on WWE's part because I think you give them credibility because you're the real fighting guy. So it made total sense. And you come on there, and I think some people don't appreciate how hard it is to go from color analyst to play-by-play. That's a super tough job. It is a completely different job, right? It's completely different.
Totally different.
And I've heard the stories about how difficult it is to do the WWE job because there's a lot going on, right? You're doing 3 hours as opposed to SmackDown 2 hours. I know there's people in your ear. Initially, was it a bit of a shock compared to what you are used to in the world of MMA?
Yes, but you could argue it was a good thing. I didn't like, because I wasn't a play-by-play guy. So
right.
I learned play-by-play, or I'm learning the play-by-play the WWE way, which is maybe different than if I had a ton of play-by-play experience and I was kind of set in my ways and, oh, this is how you do things, and the WWE thinks it's differently. That would freak me out. I didn't know really, how the WWE did it. I know how they do it differently than MMA, but I was never a play-by-play guy. So I'm learning kind of their way, which in a sense is a little bit easier. But the analogy I use for people who've never been in broadcasting is you're going from running back to quarterback. And when you're a running back, certain plays just don't involve you. You just, unless you're blocking somebody, it's a throwing play. You're just standing there.
Right.
And as a color analyst, welcome back from commercial. I'm sitting there doing whatever I'm doing. Not every play involves me. And as a quarterback, every play involves you. Play-by-play guys, the quarterback. He will delve out responsibilities, whatever, but everything goes through him. And that's the upgrade. You got to know every play and every player and every defense. You can't just know, here's my lane and I run in it, which is what essentially being a color analyst is. You got to be good at that one thing, but you're only responsible for one thing. It's different. What
was it like early on when you were backstage and whatnot? Did you feel accepted right away, or did you feel like you had to kind of earn the boys in the back's trust?
They respected me immediately, and it was weird. And I think there's like I'm what they call a shooter, which is I can actually fight, which is the expression they use in WWE for someone who can fight. And Big E, big, huge MMA fan. A lot of those guys saw me and, oh, Jimmy, what's up, man? Big fan of your work. And I'm sitting there going, oh, wow, I didn't know that. I mean, like Cesaro, I called him a match with him and Daniel Bryan as my audition. And one thing I told Cesaro, I said, man, thanks. You did a lot of jiu-jitsu stuff. You made me sound great. And Cesaro, who is 6'5", whatever he is, 260, he literally goes, oh, man, you guys are the ones that really do it. I mean, guys were almost like, oh, yeah, well, I know the moves. You know the moves. Right. So there was this like inherent respect I got from everybody. And then when I called the matches and I'm calling out the right, one of the things they told me when I first started WWE is they said, hey, when it hits the ground, you tell us. Because they really don't, there aren't like a lot of specific names. Listen to somebody's finisher or something. They really don't know what a Kimura trap is. And so when I said these kind of things on air, a lot of the fighters told me, they go, man, that was great. Thank you so much. Because like nobody said I was doing an inside switch because they're not wrestlers. They don't know what that is. So like, it's really cool to hear that. So that part of it, I was accepted right away, which was crazy. I didn't expect that at all.
Are you surprised, or were you surprised at how much of your MMA wrestling knowledge, grappling knowledge would benefit you in this? Because if you're doing it in the 80s, it's a totally different WWE or WWF as it was known. But now there's a lot of guys who train jiu-jitsu and who come from the rest. And so I would imagine that's one of the many reasons why they wanted you. Were you surprised? Did you expect that, when you took the job, that, wow, a lot of my knowledge from MMA would actually greatly benefit me here and separate me from the other play-by-play guys?
When I did my first little thing in NXT, it was like a pre-show for one of their shows. I turned to the producer and I go, look, I'm going to call it like a fight. That's all I know how to do. And the guy goes, that's why you're here. So in this, like right in the beginning, I was told, yeah, that's why. Because the difference between a heel hook and an ankle lock. That's why you're here. So I did know it would benefit me because I was told this will benefit you. So I knew that. How much I would use it, I wasn't sure. And then I was watching more and more matches. One of the things about MMA coming into prominence the last 20 years is they're integrating a lot of that stuff into professional wrestling and sports entertainment. So they're using a lot more moves that a mixed martial arts fan or a jiu-jitsu guy would understand. So I'm very lucky that I'm kind of coming in now where I can give it that authenticity. But yeah, I was told pretty early on, all this stuff. That's why you're here. That's why, you have a leg up on everybody else.
Everyone, I feel like, has a great Vince McMahon story. Like, what was it like the first time you met him? Or do you have a different great Vince? Like, I mean, what a presence, right? What was it like for you?
Yeah. It was crazy because, he's still so much. And you hear all these rumors, which is true. You hear all these rumors when you're going into the WWE about, how much Vince is in it and all this stuff and who these people. Vince is still very, very much, at least with Raw, because, obviously I don't do SmackDown.
Yeah.
With Raw, he's very much every single match. He has an opinion. He has his philosophy and the way he wants it to go. He's very much a pillar of Monday Night Raw, which I wasn't really sure if that was the case anymore. And sure. I had no idea. And yeah, he is. And one of the things he told me that honestly really helped, and it's not a crazy story or anything. He goes, "Don't worry. You're the audience. If you don't know it, they don't know it. If you're confused, they're confused. So use that." Because I was a little worried that it would be, because I hadn't watched wrestling since I was a kid. And he said, no, if you don't know what something is or why something is happening or why this person is taking on this person or why this angle's happening, say that. And Corey and Byron get to educate people. So you not knowing is awesome because not all of our fans are what they call marks. They're not all like huge wrestling fanatics. They might not know. So use that. And so most of the questions I ask on camera or on air, I'm asking in the back. The same things where I was like, why is this person taking on this person after a Hell in a Cell match where they're clearly effed up? And I said it on air. Why is Drew McIntyre taking on Riddle after a Hell in a Cell match with Bobby Lashley? He is beat to hell. And I asked that in the back and I asked it on camera. So it's that freedom that he said, if you don't know, they don't know. Don't be afraid to go, why the F is this happening? Because as a guy who's, not an entrenched fan, it worked really well. So that was the first time he gave me any advice and it worked and it's been working.
How long did it take for you? So you started in May, right? May of last year. How long did it take for you to feel confident, like to feel like you're doing an MMA show? You're up to speed with all the characters, with all the storylines. Like you said, you had not been watching since you were a kid. So that's a lot to learn, right? This isn't second nature like MMA is for you. Maybe you don't feel confident yet. I don't know. But if you do,
I was about to say, what day is it? Right?
Yeah.
I said to myself, because the first few months I was just in my own head, really stressed out about, am I there? Am I where I am with MMA? I don't feel as comfortable. And I was like freaking myself out. And then a couple months ago, we were doing a pay-per-view. And if you watch the pay-per-views, I do Raw and obviously Michael Cole does SmackDown. And so I get a break. So I'm sitting and I'm watching this and the crowd's going nuts and the match is going on. And in my head, I went, you know what? It's all a ride, man. This is it's like when I was a kid, it's all a ride. It's all theater and it's all fun and go with it as much as you can and don't worry about all this stuff. And ever since then, I've enjoyed every single one of these things. It is, Ariel, it's like improv. It's the only way I can describe. It's almost like improv because also like someone's going to the ring and boom, somebody comes out of nowhere and attacks them. Like even the structure of MMA, where like they're going to walk in, they get checked, they have grease. Okay, boom, they go in there, they announce. Even that structure, where if you don't know anything about MMA, at least I have a walk-in, I have this. A lot of times in W, you don't have any of those things. Don't stress about that. Go with it and be ready to react and be improvisational about it. And once I got there, I got so much more comfortable. It's going to take a while, probably at least a year or two before I'm where I am in MMA, where you give me anybody and I know everything they've ever done. That's going to be a while, but I'm getting there, and I've made a big shift in the last couple months for sure.
What about the travel? It's a lot of travel. How are you dealing with that?
The funny thing is when I explain to people, it's the same number of days. It's just more often. Where if you go to a UFC or a Bellator, there's fighter meetings. Fighter meetings are Wednesday. Or if the fight's Saturday, for example, fighter meetings are Thursday, weigh-ins Friday, fight Saturday, fly on Sunday. So a lot of times you fly in Tuesday or Wednesday to make the fighter meeting. So it's 4 or 5 days of travel for one event. It doesn't work that way with the WWE. I fly in Sunday, I do Monday Night Raw, and I leave Tuesday morning. So I do it every week. I used to do it once every couple weeks, but it's double the number of days.
Okay.
So it's pretty much, as far as travel days, it's about the same. It doesn't really stress me out, man.
That's actually a good way of putting it. I didn't think of that. I guess because they don't take, weeks off, right? There's no off season in WWE. So
there's no off season, but also in MMA, like a good show, pay-per-view could cost me pretty much the whole week.
Right.
You know what I mean? Pretty much the whole week. And it doesn't work like that with WWE.
Do you miss calling MMA fights?
Yeah. Yeah. Because, it's so funny because I never did it. Well, I only did it a couple times. Play-by-play. I miss.
Well, I just mean like being in the booth, like color analyst calling. You miss that.
Yeah, for sure. For sure I do. For sure I do. That's the world I was in for 20 years, man. It's so amazingly comfortable to me. And what I tell myself, what's true really is maybe I was too comfortable. You're kind of like, I was so comfortable. Man, you throw me into any color situation. All right, who's fighting? I got it. And I could do it. Boom, like that. To go to the WWE, which is on a scale bigger, and there's all this to learn. At first, that I was, I was concerned about that discomfort. And now I'm kind of like, I got completely out of my comfort zone to do something totally new and different. And that's been an incredible, amazing experience. I'll always love MMA. I'll always love combat sports. It'll always be, home. That's where I started. But man, this shift in my life in the last year, I couldn't have predicted this if you'd in a million years that I'd be where I am now. And it was because of that ability to get out of what I was comfortable with, And so that's really kind of the blessing in disguise of all of this.
Are you able to do MMA shows, or is this like an exclusive deal? You can only do WWE.
Nope.
You can't.
Nope. I am with the WWE, and also anything I would do too. Like,
when are you gonna have time?
What am I gonna do? When am I gonna prowl? Hey, we have a show Wednesday. It's like, dude, I leave Sunday. I come back Tuesday. I work right now. I have 3 gigs. Okay, I work 6 days a week. I do SiriusXM 4 days a week. I do WWE on Monday, and I do, as you said, UFC Fight Camp that you and I used to do together.
Yeah.
I still do that with Phil Murphy for ESPN International. Those are my 3 gigs. I barely have time for. If somebody called me right now and say, "Hey, we want you to do this thing," I'm like, no, I gotta sleep at some point. Yeah, so that's kind of where I am now. It would be difficult if not just contractually, but like just my life. It would be really difficult to do anything else right now.
The Sirius show is interesting to me because now you're so invested in WWE. You have to keep up with everything. Is there a part of you that feels less maybe interested or less caught up to speed on the MMA stuff, and now it becomes a little more difficult to do the MMA shows because before it was all MMA all the time for you, right? Like there were but now you kind of have to do your homework, I would imagine, because you're traveling, you're doing you got a ton going on. Has it become more difficult to do that show because of your new job?
No, it's because the nature of the WWE is very flexible. As I said, it's almost improv. It's almost like, right before a match starts, they're like, okay, we're switching this around or this around. I don't know, like I did with UFC a month ahead of time, who's at a big pay-per-view. All right, I'm going to start doing I don't know. So when I do a Monday Night Raw, I might know 1 or 2 matches, maybe.
Okay.
And then the rest is like, okay, here's what's going to happen, blah, blah, blah. And the meetings are finalizing things and all this stuff. So it's almost the other way around where I'm MMA. And then boom. All right, where am I? Sunday? Okay, I'm in Phoenix. Okay, cool. Raw, and I start working on that because I can't prep. Right. Yeah. I don't know everyone in the Royal Rumble. It's Saturday. I don't know everybody. So it's very freeing because it's almost like I don't know until, Sunday night, Monday, what's going on. So it's very like, okay, read and react and go with it. And then MMA is the prep and the homework and all that stuff. It's still, the prep side is still a lot of mixed martial arts for me.
Still, not to bring up an old story, it still seems so weird to me that the UFC thing didn't work out, that you were only there for a year. I know that was a massive deal. Did you feel resentment afterwards? Was it hard for you to watch the product because of how abrupt that run ended for you? Only 1 year after leaving Bellator.
Yeah, it was. It was.
I don't blame you, man. I don't blame you.
Yeah. Because it was almost like the hard part was I'm still in this. Like it's almost like you're breaking up with a girlfriend, you work with her or something. It's like, I don't really want to see you right now, but I don't have it. Like, it's still my living. It's still MMA, and the UFC is the big dog. So I can't just like, I need a break from the UFC. I couldn't, because I was still doing, like I said, I got the UFC Fight Camp gig where you and I worked together. And then I was filling in for Luke Thomas all the time. I had to keep up with my ex-girlfriend. I had to stalk my ex-girlfriend that I don't really want. The breakup wasn't great. I don't really want to do that, but I didn't have a choice. And so that whole year was brutal. And then the contrast of a sport.
And by the way, when you say the year you were there or the year after?
The year after.
Okay, gotcha.
Brutal.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I was there. It was easy.
Yeah.
The year after was brutal. 2017 was brutal because of all of those things and da-da-da-da. It's just, it's nightmarish. But the idea that a sport that I know like the back of my hand that I'd spent so much time in, you didn't fight for us. We don't want you. And then the WWE goes, after my audition, Michael Cole goes, we think you're an incredibly talented broadcaster. They offered me this, basically a retainer deal, meaning here, just just come here. Just don't work for anybody else and come here. And, we want you before somebody else gets you. And I was like, the difference
Yeah.
these other people who I'm just learning and trying to figure out thought I was fantastic and gave me Monday Night Raw and this other sport where I could, do it with my eyes closed. You didn't fight for us. We don't.
Was that what you were? That was the ultimate reason?
That was literally my conversation about. They said the exact words were, "You were great. You did everything you asked us. Producers really liked you. We're going with just UFC fighters."
Huh.
And I went, all right.
Wow.
That was literally, you were great. I will. These words are seared into my ears.
Yeah.
You were great. Producers really liked you. Everyone enjoyed working with you. We are going with UFC fighters exclusively.
And they knew when they hired you a year before.
They knew when they hired me that I didn't. It was like, you knew this a year ago. I don't know what to tell you. Right. Yeah.
Now, I just want to preface this by saying this is not like, I love Laura Sanko. I think she's incredible.
She is awesome.
She didn't fight for the UFC either.
Yeah. It's, it doesn't mean anything. Yeah. It's not like it's meaningful. It's like, oh my God, we don't.
Do you believe that? Do you believe that's the reason?
I've pondered this quite a bit. It isn't really that. I think that's their way of saying you weren't part of our club. Not just you didn't fight for us, but you didn't come up through the UFC. You came up over there, and so you're not really part of our club. Not so much that you didn't fight here, because Laura Sanko was kind of part of that club, right? She kind of came up through the UFC, and I didn't.
Okay.
I think that's what they were essentially trying to say, in that you didn't fight for us, was you didn't come up through us. You're an outsider. And that was kind of the deal to me. Yeah.
Do you still have that resentment?
No, no. And it didn't. Yeah. But it wasn't like, it wasn't personal. It wasn't like, I didn't take it that personally in a way, but it was just, as you say, you kind of want to break from that. And I couldn't get that. So that was the hard part. It wasn't so much that I was like, F them and I hate the UFC. I didn't feel that way, but it was also like, can I not talk about you every effing day of my life when I'm still trying to recover from that? It's all, you're injured in a motorcycle accident. That's your only way to work. You're like, I just don't want to get on a motorcycle right now. Can I get freaking? And so that was the hard part, was I still had to talk about them incessantly when I just wanted a little time to digest and process. And I didn't get it until WWE called me and, hey, could you take over the biggest show in cable history? So the turnaround was amazing. And the W, I'm so incredibly grateful. And they've really been there for me, man. I don't even know how else to say it. They really have been.
That is great. One last thing on all of this, and I'm going to let you go. It all worked out, but I'm just curious, at any point before it worked out, did you regret leaving Bellator?
Oh man. To be totally honest, it was part of the reason too, was a lot of people in the UFC. Everybody knows, I know, Joe Rogan and John Anik and those guys. It was hard not to, a lot of them were like, man, we'd love to have you. And And I wouldn't say recruited in a way, but like a lot of people expressed a desire to work with me or whatever. And when it all kind of fell apart, I went, I could have just stayed where I was, man. You didn't have to, I could have just stayed where I was. Now, there are reasons beyond the UFC that I didn't, and I've been vocal about this. I didn't like Bellator's matchmaking at the time. I thought they were doing things that I didn't like calling, that I didn't like being around. And so it wasn't just that. I felt the need for a change, and I felt the need for a move, and I felt the need to make a change in my life. But once again, when it all fell apart after a year and I had to, scramble to find a career again, you do kind of go, man, I could have just stayed around and just kind of put up with it. But yeah, there were things going on that Bellator doesn't do anymore, thankfully, that I didn't like being around at the time.
Well, I'm looking for, first of all, you're doing great, man. You really are. And I appreciate just how tough. I can't do that job. Like, I would not even dare to do that job. It is so tough what you are doing.
It's so hard.
And how seamlessly you just kind of walked into that is supremely impressive. Not just going from analyst to play-by-play guy, a guy who wasn't following the product. That could be a lot to handle in its own right. If you're a play-by-play guy going in without knowing the product, is one thing. If you're going from one seat to the other, that's a huge, huge jump. And I love the running back to quarterback analogy that you made. Royal Rumble is this Saturday in St. Louis. And I can't, like, you talk about a fight that feels like a fight, a match that feels like a fight. Lesnar versus Lashley is a big deal. We're about to talk to Bobby any second now. Could I just ask, is Lesnar as intimidating backstage as he seems? Like, does he talk to, like, is he just sitting there and catering, having chicken? Can you just talk to him, or he's, kind of tucked away by himself?
I've never once seen him backstage.
That's amazing. That's
Bobby,
Yeah.
Bobby, by the way, double-legged me in the locker room, and I showed him what's up with my guard. Ask him about that.
I will.
Ask him how quick he was tapping, by the way.
Okay.
Tell him I said that. So, yeah, Bobby, I see and mess around every time I see him. Lashley, I've literally never seen backstage.
Wow.
Not one time.
Lesnar.
I'm sorry. Oh, yeah. Lesnar, I've never seen backstage.
Wow.
Bobby, constantly.
Okay.
Lesnar, never seen him once.
Wow. Okay. I'm going to ask Bobby this question right now. Jimmy, you're the man. Good luck with the show. Unlocking the Cage, SiriusXM, Fight Camp, ESPN International, of course, the voice of Monday Night Raw. Very happy for you. Very happy how it all played out, my friend. And continued success. And thanks for doing this. I appreciate it.
Appreciate you, brother. Thanks for having me, man.
All right. There he is. Jimmy Smith, the voice of Monday Night Raw. What a story that was, right? They came in with a new voice. Adnan Virk, who's tremendous from ESPN and MLB Network. And then all of a sudden, there was a switch, and they announced that Jimmy Smith was in. No one saw this coming. No one saw it coming.